Hi guys, and welcome to my review. This, I believe, is probably a first. At least I have never seen any other reviewer do anything like I'm about to do, or about to attempt to do. Because trust me when I say that this gave me a lot of work, a lot of work. But basically, what do we have in front of us? Well, with very few exceptions, I've basically got every single DD between $100 and $200 in front of us, with like I said, the exception of a few pieces. Duno Falcon Pro and so on, for example, is one of them. And I've also got some which are outliers. Outliers in which sense? Well, these two here, the Timeless and the SHUOER S12, are planars. And the Eternal is above the $200 quite significantly. The rest, they all fall within that price bracket. You just have to look around, but easily you will find them all within that price bracket. In that, and also worth mentioning, the cheapest, and the reason why it's also here, it's because it deserves its place with all of these IEMs here. It's the Olína. So without further ado, let me just run you through. Up top there, we have the FiiO FD3 single dynamic, the original KBear Aurora and its newer version, the matte version, WHIZZER HD03D, the 7Hz Eternal, QDC DMagic, sorry. This one is also a newcomer, the Focus vocal. A lot of talk, or some talk, was done about the EDM as being a mega bass head IEM. This is its sibling, the vocal, which has, well, as the word implies, more focus on the vocal frequencies, also on the mids, and a little bit less, in my opinion, a superior IEM. Up top there we have the MOONDROP Kato, Hana 2021, BQEYZ Autumn. Then we have two TFZ items here, the Live X and the Tequila Pro. And as I already mentioned, the SHUOER S12 and the Timeless, the 7Hz Timeless, along with as well the Olína. And yeah, basically this is our playground for today. All of these IEMs, or the majority of them at least, I have reviewed. I will give a little bit extra attention to the KBear Aurora, the new version, the matte version, as you can see. Very nice. I mean, sorry, trying to focus. There we go. It's basically the same as the original, but just in a matte shell. And I will also be giving a little bit more of attention to the Focus vocal, as you can see. Very nice looking IEM as well. And the TFZ Live X, again, another very well, it's really an older IEM, but nonetheless a very interesting IEM, and an IEM that I think went very much under the radar. Well, let me see if I can organize this more or less. I want to start by saying that every single one of these IEMs has its qualities, has its flaws. There are IEMs here, obviously, which are my favorites, and I will point them out, and I will say there are IEMs here which are outright value beasts. I mean, and two of them that come to mind straight away are the Olína and the S12. These two, in terms of value for money, are no-brainers. No-brainers. I mean, it's there. It's no-brainers. These two are absolutely unreal. There are IEMs here which I think are slightly overpriced for what is on offer. But basically every IEM has been tuned by its specific companies with a specific mindset, and I'm sure that there will be someone out there that will think that they are, you know, the best IEM ever, and this and that. There are IEMs here which are more neutral in their presentation. There are other IEMs here which are more V-shaped in their presentation. So there are IEMs here which will have harmonish tuning. There are IEMs here that will have a pronounced V signature. There are IEMs that will have a neutral bright signature. Some of these IEMs are quite versatile in what you can do. Case in point, for example, the BQEYZ. This little beast here will basically cater for I think a lot of people, because with the tuning filter swap that is capable of being done, which is that filter there that you see. Let me see if I can actually. There, you see that filter right there in the center? That filter there enables you to kind of adjust the earphone to your specific or more towards your specific sound, and that makes it, if I have to give it a prize in terms of the same way as I gave the value to the SHUOER and to the Olína, this is probably the technical monster out of all of these ones here. Okay, but as I was saying, they all have their particular positives and negatives. Personally, and those that follow me know that I'm a big fan of the TANCHJIM Hana 2021. It's 85% in oxygen, and oxygen is for me, and until I am lucky enough to hear something that really blows me away, it is for me my reference single DD. The only reason why it isn't here, it's because I thought that it's well, not only is it more expensive, but fair enough, some of you might argue, well, but you have the Eternal, and the Eternal is about $250. You can pick up the oxygen for about the same money sometimes. Fine, fair enough, I could have done that, but I'm gonna, I think enough attention has been given to the oxygen, so I'm just gonna put it aside. It is my reference, and I can, without, it won't be an issue for me to, during this review, to just give a quick mention here and there, but it is my reference IEM in terms of single DD. And there was another one which I thought about also including, because I consider it as well to be a reference when we especially consider its price, which is the CRA. I mean, for $15, it is an IEM that deserves respect. It is because I can tell you that with the right tips, it can give some of these IEMs here a good run for their money. So I thought about also including it, but I left it out. Of the IEMs that we have in front of us, like I said, they all have various capabilities and strengths and weaknesses. I'll start with the KBear Aurora, the matte version. The matte version definitely is an upgrade, in my opinion, over the original Aurora, which is back there. The original Aurora was just perhaps well, I recall mentioning it in the review as a blonde 03, but how can I put this? Not done as well. It had some characteristics of the blonde, but overall it just wasn't a blonde. And when you took into consideration its price, and the price of the Aurora, fluctuates. It can go anywhere between $130 to about $170. It just wasn't an IEM which I considered to be really special when you had other IEMs in the market. You have the Hana, you have the BQEYZ, you have the MOONDROP Kato. We have the Olína now, so it was something that was just not, in my opinion, up to par. What about this newer version? This newer version has kind of addressed those flaws of perhaps being too warm sometimes in the vocals, of being a little bit bloated on the mid bass. it has addressed those flaws and polished up the whole signature. So the bass, the whole bass frequencies up to 1K has come down. The mids as well have been slightly adjusted, and it just makes for a more neutral, correct IEM. So if that one there, if the original Aurora is perhaps more fun, and I won't deny it, this one is more musically correct in my opinion. And even with the flaws that it sometimes has, which is sometimes it can sound a little bit too thin, I overall still consider it a superior IEM to the original Aurora. In terms of its technicalities, excuse me, my apologies. In terms of its technicalities, it also has improved. Detailed retrieval has improved slightly because the sound is no longer as congested, let's put it that way, although it's a strong word, as before. Detailed retrieval, soundstage, imaging, all of those have improved, at least improved over the original Aurora. And like I said, the only area that sometimes with some songs you might perceive as okay, you wish you had a little bit more, is precisely in the quantity of the bass, because the quality of the bass is better, but it's in the quantity of the bass that you have, and you get the feeling that sometimes it is just a little bit thin, and you can hear it in, for example, Train Song from Holly Cole. The bass line is not as pronounced as if you hear it on the original Aurora. What other song? What You Gonna Do from Frank McComb as well. The bass line, you notice that it just needed a little bit more extra weight. But otherwise, overall, like I mentioned, I personally think that it's a better IEM overall. It's better sounding, and it definitely deserves more attention than what the original Aurora got. The other IEM here, which I'll be talking just a little bit extra about, is this one, the Focus Vocal. Very small IEM, very nice overall shape, fits very nicely. I'm using Spin Fits 145s, as you can see. It's got this kind of nice, oops, this thing doesn't focus. So very nice small IEM, fits very nicely in the ear. It's relatively light. It's not obtrusive, not it doesn't bug you. Got this nice kind of wood finish on the faceplate. And this how can I put this? Apologies. As I was saying, it's I'm not going to say it's overly bright. No, it's not overly bright. You can feel it's got energy, and that energy sometimes does come across in certain songs as just being a little bit too much, and can occasionally sound sibilant. So those areas there of 4.5, 5.5, 6K can sometimes just be, just a little bit too much. But overall, the signature here of the vocal, it's a V signature. It's been tastefully done. It's got nice quality to the bass. It's clean. If I have actually to make a comparison with the Aurora, which I was just speaking about, it's very much the Aurora, but with that extra amount of bass quantity that the Aurora is lacking, and a little bit more forward presentation in the mids. That's in a nutshell what this is like. I enjoyed its playback. I liked listening to it, although, like I said, that forwardness with specific songs can get to you. It can. I'm not going to deny. I'm not saying that it is aggressive, but it is not. Of the two, or if I have to compare just the vocal with the KBear. I would say probably the KBear is more correct in terms of its audiophile presentation, let's put it that way. So this one is more colored, but it's colored in a nice way. So you know, and always, as is the case, tip and what is your music that you like to listen to. Those two will definitely be very much things to keep in mind. As a quick terms of comparison with, for example, the Olína, there's a lot of things in the vocal that remind me of the Olína in its stock format. That Olína there is this Olína of mine. It has the dual damper modification that the short bass and Paul, so Michael and Paul came up with. So it's got that slightly tamed down mids, not as forward, not as borderline, let's say, shouty. So it's very much, this is kind of as well something very similar to the Olína in many aspects. In terms of its technicalities, I found it quite capable. Imaging, detailed retrieval superior to the Aurora, for example. So imaging, detailed retrieval, all very, very good. We're talking about an IEM which costs around $180. So again, it puts it in a territory where there's very stiff competition. But I would safely say it's an option. It's an alternative if you do not want to go for the more mainstream, the more popular ones. Okay, it is an option. If not for any other reason, simply for the fact that you got something different, something that not many people have. But overall, I enjoyed it. Like I was saying, the highs. There are instances where the highs, for example, remind me of the highs of the Kato. So it's kind of, the vocal has got a lot of it's got a lot of things that obviously when you have these many IEMs that you can quickly swap around and hear, it's got many qualities of some of the IEMs that are here. And there are instances where it will remind me of one, or then it will remind me of the other. But unquestionably, out of all these IEMs here, this is something along the lines of an Olína, of a slightly better, more full, more thick, if you want to put it that way, KBear Aurora. It's got some instances, like I said, that it reminds me of the Kato. That's kind of where this is sitting at. And then out of all these IEMs, the ones that I'm just going to mention a little bit extra, we have the Live X. Okay, the Live X, like I said, is an IEM that didn't really get much attention, and I got it because a couple of weeks ago I reviewed the Tequila Pro. And the Tequila Pro uses the 3rd generation driver, and well, in standard format, I wasn't really very impressed. It just was too peaky, and for $190, I was expecting more, especially because I am a fan of TFZ. I like the TFZ sound, and if there's one thing that I have to give both of these TFZs in comparison with every one of these IEMs here, is its bass. Is it down to my ears? Is it down to the driver technology that they are using? I honestly do not know. What I do know is that the bass of the TFZ is a very easily identifiable bass. And when people talk about, bass monsters and this and that, and I myself have mentioned that. I mean, for example, when I tested the DMagic, I said that it was definitely a bass monster. The FD3 as well, to a certain extent as well, but definitely the DMagic. Oh wow, this thing is a bass monster. Well, honestly, either one of these two TFZs puts the DMagic to shame. It's just got this quality of the bass. I've said this a few times already, I think, in some of my reviews. I've got a background which goes back to in terms of sound, to not only home audio but some professional stuff that I did, and some car audio. And in professional sound and in car audio, there were subwoofers, let's put it that way, that had a very particular bass sound to them. And in terms of professional sound, EV, electro voice, has got this this bass that you have to hear it, okay, because it's deep, it's low, and it's just got this impact which is just absolutely unreal. So electro voice, precision devices as well, absolutely unbelievable in terms of bass and sub bass. In terms of car audio, you got also that kind of bass from Sir and Vega. They had these crazy subwoofers back in the day called the Strokers, and you just had to hear these things because they had this impact which was just absolutely unreal. This is the kind of impact that you get from the TFZs, be it the Tequila Pro. And this Tequila Pro, like I said, I modified it. I put a TANCHJIM. Well, you can either use a TANCHJIM filter or you can use a 300 grade filter on the nozzle, and the difference it makes to the whole above 1K presentation is just phenomenal. It's just really fun. It just makes this a whole different beast, and one that I definitely recommend if you want something fun. No doubt the Tequila Pro is one of those IEMs that comes to mind. It's colored, yes, it's colored, but it's colored in a nice way. It's colored in a way that's engaging, and it hits you hard. I mean, this thing is like Thor's hammer, basically. Unbelievable. And the Live X basically follows that. It uses a 4th generation driver, so it uses a driver which is supposedly slightly improved. But in all honesty, comparing the two, where I saw maybe the biggest difference was not so much in the bass, but was in the way that the mids were presented. I found personally that I still like the mids more on the Tequila Pro as compared to the Live X, but the Live X's forwardness, and this one is absolutely stock, is a very nice forwardness. I mean, this stock, with this stock, every day the Live X, every day, it's superior. This with the filter, and this as it is, they are very matched. This one is just slightly more forward. So, as I was saying, a very, very fun IEM. Probably one of the most fun IEMs out of all of these ones here, along with the Tequila Pro. How can I now position them? How can I now place these IEMs in terms of what is worth it, what isn't worth it? Well, let's do away with the ones which I think are just not worth it. Not worth it because they are too expensive, or not worth it because there's just things which are far superior at the same or less money. The first one, and I mean, I don't want to sound bad to the FiiO, I never know how to say this, boys, but yes, it looks good. It fits what a bullet style IEM will fit like, so it depends on your ears and your tips and so on and so forth. But it's just, I mean, for the $140 that I've seen it cost, it is just honestly an underwhelming experience. I just don't feel that it in any way justifies its price. And I mean, you know, when you have things like we now have, such as the TRIPOWIN, the Olína, at $40, $50 less, this just has no reason of being. You can argue and say, oh, but I like an IEM that has got more bass and so on and so forth. Well, then just you know, modify the Olína a little bit extra, and it's going to be, as it is, in my opinion, it's better than the FiiO. You just put a Y2 filter or Y3 filter on the vent, and it is then got plenty bass as compared to this. You want bass, you like bass, go for the TFZs. I mean, no brainer there as well, you know. So this one, I think, is just not worth it because it's just an underwhelming experience. Okay, the QDC D-Solo Magic, one of the most beautiful IEMs I own. Build quality is just, trying to see if I can focus it, but this doesn't want to focus. Focus, come on. There we go. The build quality, the resin that they've used is just, I mean, wow. It is one of the most beautiful IEMs I've ever seen. One of the most beautiful IEMs that I own. One of the most well-built IEMs, definitely. Where is its flaw? Monster V with very recessed mids, that just makes for a very 2D presentation. So, you know, and the price that the QDC has as well is just $180 roughly, give or take. Again, makes this just something that doesn't make sense. You have way superior IEMs here. Okay, that's out. Then there are two IEMs here that, well, actually let's first go to the KBears. The KBears, well, like I said, the original one, it's okay, it's fine. If you can pick it up at you know, the bargain price or something, fine. It's got good quality of construction, brings decent accessories, good cable, you know, fine. Do I think it's better than its newer brother? No, it's not better. So just based on that, then that's out of the equation as well. The newer one makes way more sense. Okay, so we're going to keep that one there. All right. As I was saying, there's two IEMs here, which they're not bad. They just have a different approach to what is being done by the majority. One is the 7 Hertz, the Eternal, which uses a monster single DD driver, and it is very tip dependent. If you are able to find the tip that works for you, then you will be very happy with its overall sound. However, its biggest problem is not that. Its biggest problem and its biggest obstacle is its price, because at $250 roughly, there is nothing that, even with the right tip, you know, that will justify you choosing this over some of the others that are here. Build quality, yes, beautiful, flawless. I mean, I love it. Again, it gets a prize out of all of these IEMs. It gets a prize along with the WHIZZER HD03D and the QDC as the most well built IEMs here. You know, build quality of the 7 Hertz is flawless. So not only the price is an obstacle that it has, but you know, the other big obstacle that it has to overcome, and which it hasn't overcome, and again, okay, you could say it's two different flavors, is its brother, the Timeless. And when you can pick up a Timeless for maybe, well, not maybe, I've seen it costing just under $200. When you can pick up a Timeless at just under $200, I'm answering your question already. It's really a no-brainer. So, not saying it's a bad IEM, I'm just saying that it's perhaps just slightly overpriced, and it competes not only with its own brother, but it competes with other IEMs which have more to offer for the same money. Okay. The other IEM, which I was saying also suffers from a very different sound signature, is the WHIZZER. The HD03 is an IEM that, in terms of its technical, the technical input that was put into manufacturing, design, the R&D, everything is unreal. The whole helmets type resonation system that they used for the driver, the semi-open back design, all of that. You know that technically it's a very well executed IEM, very well built, but well, in my opinion, the sound signature is just, it's too bloated, too thick in the mid bass, not much sub bass extension, especially considering that you've got a huge driver here, a 12mm if I'm not mistaken. And then you have two siblings, the BS1, which costs $20-something, and the HE01, which overall have way more interesting sound signatures. If this had the sound signature, okay, of the BS1, I would definitely have it as one of the go-to choices. Why? Because that IEM, the BS1, has a fantastic sound signature for what it is. you know, it just kind of boggles me how they were able to make something like that. And then in this one, they just, you know, it just doesn't have enough clarity up top. Like I said, very mid-bass thick. I'm sure there will be people that will enjoy it. Personally, I found it a little bit underwhelming, especially because I like WHIZZER. I was expecting a lot from it, you know, and it's such a beautiful IEM. I mean, this thing is so beautiful. So this one gets taken out of the equation as well. So this leaves us now here with a more reduced, out of 15, we now have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 IEMs, okay? So let's cut down a little bit more here. I'm gonna, for now, not talk too much about the timeless and the SHUOER, especially because they are planars, and the whole idea was, yeah, single DD. So let's put this aside a little bit. So Aurora, focus, and let's put in here the TFZ brothers, and I will leave these ones here to this side, and I'll put here the Olína as well with those ones. Okay, so out of these four, what do you want? You want a more neutral bright, more fun signature. Fun, neutral, bright. Well, neutralish, bright, warm. It's a tastefully done V, okay? Out of those two, I would personally opt for the focus. I just feel that it has just that little bit extra that justifies edging out the KBear Aurora. Although going with the Aurora, you wouldn't go bad as well. I mean, they're very close to each other. Just a little bit more bass quantity there, a little bit more forwardness there. So it's down to what you like. Do you like more vocal centric music? Do you like more music with a little bit more? Do you like a little bit more versatility? Okay. These two, obviously colored, obviously V-shaped, obviously well done V-shapes. I wouldn't consider this the two choices to go for in terms of if you like listening to a lot of female voices and no. But if you like EDM, if you like music with it's got a nice bass line to it, if you like music that's got good male voices, you can't go wrong with either one of these. You just cannot. It's now a question of fit, in that the Live X is gonna be fitting better the majority of people. The Killer Pro, by the simple fact that it's a bullet, it just and it's not a small bullet, it's a big bullet, mind you. It just fits in an awkward manner, so that's where it perhaps loses out. In terms of price, they basically got the same price, around $180 to $200, and then it's the aesthetics. You either like the aesthetics of the Live X and you have it in several colors, or you don't like the aesthetics. But these two, it's kind of, you decide what you want. You decide what is the more interesting for you. On to the Autumn, the Hana, and the Kato. Kato, and I've said it before, the more I listen to it, the more I appreciate it, the more I like it. Clean. If there's one thing, there's IEMs here that you put them on, and the sensation that you get is that you're listening to high fidelity straight away. And there are other IEMs that you put them on, and you think, okay, this is low fidelity. This is just Kato, Hana. Definitely, that is a sensation that you get when you put them on. It's definitely high fidelity. The sound is clean, a little bit cleaner there than on the Hana. But both are excellent, and that's why they were and still will continue to be my go-to choices of single DDs. Two of them at least. Two of those choices, because they really are good, and they are backed up by companies which have been in the market for a long time. They know what they're doing. Quality of construction is flawless in either one, so you cannot go wrong. Let's put it that way. You cannot go wrong. Okay. The BQEYZ, I love it, and I think it's an absolute beast in terms of its versatility and what you can do with it. This interchangeable nozzle technology that they used here, and the R&D that they put behind this, has paid off. It also uses one of the bigger drivers here, 13 mils, if I'm not mistaken, and it is so good. It is so good. Mids are fine. Occasionally can be just a little bit too forward, but really good IEM, really worth the money. It's been well executed. Okay, Olína. Well, a lot has been said about the Olína, that it was an oxygen killer, that it made more sense than the oxygen. And I will say this, yes, modified as it is, it does have instances that its technical capabilities slightly outdo the oxygen. And the keyword here is slightly outdo. But it just overall doesn't have the magic of the oxygen. It doesn't have the timbre, the tonality. That's one of the key points as well for the Blonde 03s, how organic the mids are in terms of their tonality. Yeah? And that was also a strong point for the oxygen. It's just got this tonality, this weight to the notes that is very, very engaging, very satisfying, very correct. And this comes close. It comes close. I'm not going to deny it comes close. But its calling card undeniably, and what makes it a choice is its price, because you are getting that magic that you have in the oxygen. You are getting the magic that you get in the Kato, in the Hana, in the BQEYZ. You are getting that magic for way less money, and that's its selling point. The Olína's biggest selling point is that you have an incredible sounding IEM for a price which, it just isn't, it doesn't match. And this outright does any one of those IEMs over there, be it the Eternal, be it the WHIZZER, be it the Aurora brothers, be it the QDC, outright there's no competition possible. It is a better IEM, period. Let's put aside now other politics and other things. It is a better IEM. That's it. Finally, on to the two outliers here, the Timeless and the SHUOER. These two IEMs as well, when I listen to them, I get straight away that sensation of high fidelity. They are clean. The sound is effortless. The tonality, everything is just so very correct. Actually, since I've mentioned tonality now a few times, and timbre, and that organic quality, Kato, perfect in my opinion. Hana, perfect. Olína, perfect. These two, perfect. The Aurora, the mats, a little bit light at times. The focus, correct most of the times. One or two occasions that, and this year they are, the TFZs, they're both bloated, but you know what? They're bloated in a nice way. It's not like a bloated of the WHIZZER where it just sounds wrong. Period. No, it's bloated in a nice way, and depending on your musical preferences, it will make sense. So these two planers here are beasts in their own right. Out of all these IEMs, okay, forget those ones that I've already put aside there, but out of all these IEMs here, which are the two that make sense because of their overall sound and value? The two that straight away come to mind, and it's unquestionable: SHUOER S12 and the Olína. I mean, I've seen the SHUOER at $140. It's a no-brainer. No-brainer. It's a nicely executed V-shaped signature, clean mids. There's nothing that you can really point wrong in terms of, it's sibilant or this or that. Technically, it's more than capable. I mean, it is just an IEM that you put on and it sounds good and you say, wow, okay, nice. You can't go wrong with this. You cannot go wrong with the Olína. The Timeless is the same thing as the SHUOER. It's just a different form factor, which actually surprisingly the same thing as goes for the Eternal, by the way. It fits perfectly, although it's got this weird ass shape. It fits perfectly. It's just got more. It just costs more. This as well, unbelievably sounding IEM, very very good. It's just got, you know, these two have got the planar tech, the planar magic down to the point. And yeah, I think basically I've tried to position everything here in a nice manner. My Rex as single DDs under $200 will still be the Kato. It is, well, I'll still maintain the Hana if you like a more warmish presentation, a little bit more sub-bass focus. I will still wreck the BQEYZ as a technical beast with the versatility that comes along with. And then out of the rest of these ones here, Olína is definitely a wreck, because for the price it gives these three main wrecks a good, really good run for their money, beating them in many things, mind you. Let's be honest about it, beating them in many things. In terms of its technical capabilities, it beats the soundstage, it beats the imaging of these two. Give and take, yeah, the technicalities of the Kato, it beats technically any one of these four over here. Compared to these two, it's more or less the same situation as the Kato. It has instances where it kind of equals them, and, you know, slightly edges out here and there, maybe in one or two songs. So technically, very very capable IEM with an unbelievable price. Fits well. You know, you just can't go wrong. If you don't want to go for these for the fact that they are what everybody has and you just want to have something different and blah 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 blah, then definitely, or you don't want to go for planar as well for whatever reason, then definitely these would be my other Rex, let's put them that way. The two TFZs as absolute bass monsters. They are, out of all the IEMs I have currently, the IEMs that have the most amazing bass. Okay, and then finally the Aurora and the Focus, two newcomers. The Aurora, the new one, definitely a much better Aurora as compared to the previous one, but outdone by any one of these ones here. And the Focus as well, an interesting IEM, better than its brother the EDM in my opinion, but again it's just outdone by the rest of the IEMs which are here, which make more sense. So any one of these six here are the IEMs that I think still make more sense. MOONDROP, Kato, Hana 2021, BQEYZ, Autumn, TRIPOWIN, Olína, SHUOER S12, and 7Hz Timeless. These definitely are the top picks out of all these IEMs that I brought you today. Anyway guys, I'm sorry for the length of the video, but as you can understand, with 15 IEMs and there were still a few that were missing, I wanted to try and be as objective and as simple as possible. As always, once I've completed the write-up, I'll post the music that I used to test it all. And have a good one. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.